devotees. Welcome to this Gita Daily program. So we'll get started actually in the interest of time. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita Sloka number 2.7, second chapter, Sloka number 7. So as usual, we take the blessings of the Lord, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai Sudarshan Gauranitai before we start. So we'll start with the praise. Om Atnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhudale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will dedicate the session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Due to his mercy, we are able to understand Bhagavad Gita in a very easy and practical way. So let's move on. So we recite the verse 2.7 today. So as usual, all of you can recite along with me with your audio keep muted so that it avoids disturbance. You can please repeat. Karpanya dosha bhagata swabhava pruchami tvam dharma sammuda chedam yashreyasyan nishchidam bruhitan me shishyasteham sadimam tvam prabannam. We'll repeat again. कार्पण्यदोषापहदस्वभावा पृच्छ्वामितं धर्मसम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वं प्रपन्नम्. So translation. So Arjuna is telling, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of my miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So we'll see the word to word meaning. Karpanya, of miserliness. Dosha, by weakness. Upahada, being affected. Swabhavaha, characteristics. Prichami, I am asking. Tvam, unto you. Dharma, religion. Sammuda, bewildered. Chedaha, in the heart. Yet, what? Shreyaha, all good. Syad, maybe. Nishchidam, confidently. Bruhi, tell. Tat, that. Me, unto me. Shishya, disciple. Te, your. Aham, I am. Shadi, just instruct. Mam, me. Tvam, unto you. Prabannam, surrendered. So we will continue the discussion. I'll stop the sharing. So, as we in continuation of yesterday's discussion, so we discussed 2.1 yesterday. So just to recap the context of Bhagavad Gita or the verse which we are discussing today. So as we saw earlier, so Arjuna is asking Krishna, basically, he want to see all the people who have assembled in the Kurukshetra war. And when he saw that his relatives and gurus, people who are very affectionate to him, all assembled in the opposite party, Arjuna becomes bewildered, no, and he says that he gives various reasons not to fight, right? So in this context, Arjuna actually is saying that. So Arjuna gives various arguments, and finally says that I am not fight. So then Arjuna actually admits his weakness. No, Arjuna realizes that no, he is not able to decide what to do, what is right, and he says, and this sloka is recited. I mean, this particular verse is recited by Arjuna. So what are the key points in this verse? So let us see that. So one important word which is used is karpanya. So karpanya actually comes from the word known as kripana. So kripana means a miser. So, so why Arjuna calls himself a Kripana? You know that we need to understand from a higher perspective. Because normally a Kripana or a miser means a person who has a lot of wealth, but actually he is not using it for the right purpose. So here in this context, what is intended is that Arjuna is talking about a higher spiritual aspect, right? So as per Vedic scriptures, it is mentioned that the human life or the human body is a rarely obtained thing. According to Vedic scriptures, there are 84 lakh different species of life, right? Or different bodies, like which are across the humans, animals, birds, beasts, insects, and microorganisms, etc. So, and among the 84 lakh, the human birth is a very rare phenomena, like we rarely obtain. After many, many births, one human birth is obtained. So, there, according to scriptures, it is mentioned that ahara nidra bhaya mayudunam cha. So, eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, right? So, these four activities are common of to all species, including humans, animals, etc. So, even after receiving a rare human birth, if one does not use it for the real purpose, that is for seeking for higher truth, and if we just waste the human life only for eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, then the person is considered as a kripana because he has got a facility or a rare opportunity and he is wasting it. So this is why the word kripana is used. Then the another important point is that until now Arjuna and Krishna was conversing as friends. So normally we know that Arjuna and Krishna were friends and also relatives, they were cousins, but most of the time their relationship was friendship. So but at this point when Arjuna becomes completely bewildered and he is not able to decide, then Arjuna stops acting as a friend and he's in the request Krishna to accept him as a disciple. Shishya word Shishya is used. Shishya's Deham. So this is an important point. We need to understand that the higher spiritual topics has to be understood from a guru or a spiritual master, who is coming in an authorized disciplic succession or a parampara. So the friendly talks won't work. We need to be submissive. Submissively inquiring from a guru is very important to receive the spiritual knowledge. The transcendental knowledge is considered, the knowledge is called transcendental because it is beyond our material sense perception. The normal material knowledge can be acquired by our senses, like easily by seeing, hearing, etc. But however, the spiritual knowledge are because they are beyond the perception of senses. As we discussed, the spirit by definition is something which is beyond the purview or the perception of the senses. It cannot be acquired by our senses directly. So it has to be acquired by from a higher source. So the Vedic knowledge is considered called apaurushaya, which means it is not spoken by somebody, some mortal being or somebody from the material world. No, this spiritual knowledge is coming from the higher source, like it comes from the spiritual world. So it has to be understood through a disciplic succession. Then one more important point here is the word Shreyas. So Arjuna says, please tell me what is Shreyas for me. So basically, there are two kinds of good benefits that we can obtain. One is known as the Shreyas, and other is known as Prayas. So Prayas is something a temporary or which is immediately available. So the short-term benefit we can call it, right? This is known as Prayas, and Shreyas is ultimate good. So whenever we talk about spiritual topics, we are talking about Shreyas, which is ultimately good. So sometimes it happens that the long-term benefit cannot be understood immediately, right? We may not be able to see it in the short term. So for example, why are we doing a spiritual activity? Why do we pray or why do we chant the holy names of the Lord? So these kind of things we may think that how it is beneficial, like you may not think that it's not beneficial also, but then these benefits are obtained in the long term. So sometimes what happens, the spiritual knowledge may be perceived as something impractical because we are actually looking from a short perspective, a small vision or a narrow vision. But as we understand the truth, in the journey of self discovery, we will understand that the spiritual topics are meant for ultimate benefit. So these are some of the important topics that actually is covered in the shloka. So let's move on. So let's also try to understand a small, we'll see a small story or an incident which has happened. which will help us to understand what is the importance of surrender, or what should be the mood when we try to acquire spiritual knowledge. So, in this context, we will see about Sri Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an who is considered as Lord Krishna himself, who has descended around 500 years ago in Navadvip in West Bengal. So, Lord Chaitanya had many followers, and one of the key followers, two key followers of Lord Chaitanya were Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. So, Sanatana Goswami was formerly a minister, in the court of Nawab Hussain Shah, and he was a great scholar. He was a learned scholar in all the scriptures, and he was a minister also. So he was in a very high elevated position in the society. But however, internally he always desired to understand the spiritual topics. And when an opportunity presented and Lord Chaitanya arrived in the area where Lord Sanatan Goswami was there, he goes and surrendered to Lord Chaitanya. So though he was so elevated, he tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I do not know who I am. I don't even know who I am and what is beneficial for me. So keeping a straw in his mouth, he actually fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. So this mode of surrender actually is very important. We can see that in many places in scriptures that is there. So unless and until we have the mode of surrender, it is difficult to acquire the spiritual knowledge. So this is very important, profound lesson that we can learn from the incident episode of Sanatana Goswami. So let's see what are the lessons that we can learn from today's topic. Uh, so from a personal life perspective, we can understand that whenever we are in dilemma or confusion, right, I think it's important to take guidance from a higher source. So all the spiritual knowledge actually comes from the Supreme Lord Krishna. But in the material world, in this world that we are, the knowledge is transferred through a guru or an authorized bona fide representative of Krishna. So that's why a guru is very important. So we will see the details in the coming session, how to distinguish an authorized guru from a non-authorized guru, or a bona fide guru from a non-bona fide guru, etc. So these are some of the questions we may have. But essentially, we need to seek out from a guru who is authorized. And also humility is very important, for acquiring knowledge. Then from a family life perspective, uh, so actually, so we have seen that Arjuna is confused, right? And then he is not able to distinguish what is his real duty because of sentimental attachment, right? So sometimes in our personal family life, it may be required that upholding the spiritual principles, may sometimes mean making tough choices in family life. We have seen that actually, for example, how we need to guide our children, for example. So we may have to say take some tough decisions, and also we may also have to teach our children what is the difference between shreyas and prayas. So one small example to understand prayas and shreyas is, we also like, for example, a child may want to play, and he doesn't want to go to school, right? So basically playing is very like gives a lot of happiness for the child. So temporarily it gives happiness for the child, but in the long term it may compromise his future, like for example not going to school. So similarly, many of the things like instant gratification we call, right? So we may sometimes we see some food which is not actually good. For example, deep fried food, and let's say we have some health issues. So temporarily, for the taste purpose, it may look very nice to eat something which is forbidden, but in the long term, it actually is going to give us trouble. So this is something, which we can keep in mind. What is the difference? So any situation or challenge when it comes, or any decision making scenario, we should always consider shreyas or the long term benefit as more important than the temporary benefit. So the same thing applies on our professional life also. When we make decisions in the career choices, sometimes many times in our job, it may happen that many situations happen in our day to day life. No, we become frustrated. Somebody may, a manager may tell something, and immediately, we may feel bad, and we may think that okay, let me quit the job, for example, or no, or let me change the project. So we sometimes we act impulsively. So unless until we think and analyze the long term impact of the decisions, actually the decisions could prove to be wrong. So these are some of the lessons that we can take, and we wrap up with the summary of what we learned today. So first important point we learned is that what is a kripana, right? What is the real purpose of human life? What is the ultimate goal of human life? Then second thing, we understand the importance of getting the knowledge whenever we are confused from a higher source, and also the distinction between shreyas and prayas. The third point is that it is very important to be in a humble position. Now, humility is one of the important quality required for a spiritual seeker, so that he can actually acquire the knowledge from a higher authority. So, with that, I think we come to the end of today's session. If there are any questions, anybody want to ask, they can unmute and ask, or actually, otherwise, they can put it in the chat if there are any questions. So the main session is over. So if somebody wants to leave, they can exit the meeting. If anybody wants to ask question, they can stay. So please let us know if there are any questions or any comments. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all devotees. So please join daily. The spiritual wisdom that we acquire or get in the morning actually can keep us charged throughout our day. It can help to face our challenges of day-to-day life. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Looks like no questions. So then we can end the session today. Thank you all for joining. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.